physics could have come about from observing nature. Each episode begins with a scenario, followed by an example to illustrate the application of these principles in futuristic research at the frontiers of science, such as Leroy's astrophysics doctoral research at CNESPA, Center for Space Research, and then concludes with an exploration of how these same principles could have very well been used by ancient cultures and civilizations. Mathematics is naturally encountered and incorporated as the exciting and fun tool of science that it is. Science is the window into our amazing world of nature, and mathematics is the tool to open that window. Natural physics encompasses current, futuristic, and ancient physics, and ties them together by the principles of physics that are common threads running throughout each.
Greetings. I'm Leroy Larry, and welcome to Natural Physics, live from Costa Rica. Happy and safe holidays to you and your families. I want to say to everyone out there, way to go on the responses that we got from our Ukraine special that we did back in April. Way to step up, way to go as a global community. I mean, it was awesome. And please remember that the contact information that was given during that episode is still in effect. The effort is still continuing. So please continue to do what you've been doing. What an awesome global community. Seated next to me is my lovely wife, Tirza.
Oh, thank you, sweetie. Hi, my name's Tirza, and I happen to be married to Leroy Davis, Professor Leroy Larry. Yes, that's who I am. I'm Tirza, and then I'm the wife, and the lovely wife, according to my husband, Leroy Larry. Thank you, baby.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
And you may remember from that show that my colleague, author Bruce Callow, who's from Canada, was volunteering in Warsaw, Poland, to help with the Ukraine refugees. And he is my guest today. Hello, Bruce.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello. Nice to see everyone.
Bruce, that was a great show. And how's it been going? Is Carl? Everybody, another volunteer from the United States was that was there at that time, Carl Vole. Is he still there, Bruce?
No, he came back to the States a few months ago, and he's kind of gone to ground, as they say, off social media. I'm not sure exactly what he's up to at the moment, but he lived such an intense experience. I think he's just taking some time off for himself to kind of recover.
Wow. I mean, I'm going to try and plug in my mic so Tirza can hear our conversation. Can you hear me, Bruce?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna, when we get into the later on in the program and she goes and does her thing, I'll put the headphones back on.
You
But
sound like Dr. Schweimer. She, Tirza.
Well, I remember at one point Carl was actually helping to build houses right there.
Oh yeah, he did a lot. He did a lot of fundraising, and he was helping out with dogs actually too. Sort of like the Humane Society of Ukraine. He was volunteering in all kinds of different areas, rebuilding the country basically, giving a lot of hope to a lot of sort of profile to a lot of the smaller projects going on. So yeah, I haven't heard from him in a little while. I hope he's doing okay, and really admired him.
Yeah, that's I'm sorry. Go ahead, babe.
Bruce, when the podcast that you and Leroy did, which was awesome, amazing, at that time, I want to say it only been 3 weeks, or you were going for 3 weeks. I know 3 weeks in there, but at that time, there's only 3.5 million approximately refugees that came into Poland, and the largest thing was that they were running out of resources, so basic things, toothpaste, soap, and all of that. And one of the things that I recall that you brought into that music, and that's one of the things. I'm sorry, what was his name again?
Oh, Carl.
Carl, excuse me. That you guys were dealing with the children because these parents were coming in shell shocked and didn't know how to prepare for their future and take care of their children. And you guys were maintaining the children and doing things with them so that the parents could go have a breakdown or just have a few minutes alone, and the kids could just be kids. And I want to say that that stayed with me. And going back and forth to California from Costa Rica to work, I was sharing that experience with my clients, my friends, my patients, etc. And I just wanted to give you a heartfelt warmth for that of the children, and that you felt something in there. And I know that you just recently had an amazing celebration that I was part of the luncheon. Thank you very much. And I would like you to share that as well. However, we didn't know that I was Polish. And I'm sitting on the biggest Polish part of me, which is a dupas. And so I just wanted to thank you for that, Bruce, while we're here revisiting the show that you guys did in Ukraine. So thank you very much, buddy. Mwah. Blessings.
No, no, it's a pleasure. The key thing in a conflict like this is to go the distance. And I think after the first 3 months or so, or 6 months, it started to get harder for people to sort of keep up the pace and helping in that. And so I haven't been helping like, in profound day-to-day ways, like say Carl was in Ukraine. But what I've been doing since I got back in March was we've organized a volunteer program where donors, buy the flights for Ukrainians to come to Canada. And we've brought practically, I think 40 now settled into Canada. So thanks to the generosity of donors. And then now with the benefit concert funds, we're helping kids a different way. We're purchasing a power generator. The money just got sent actually a couple of days ago for an orphanage in Lviv. So that's 168 kids that'll have a backup power source in case they get, that their power grid goes down after an attack. They'll have a backup system, so the kids will stay warm, at least in that particular orphanage. So yeah, those are nice things that we feel good about, and there's still a need for that kind of stuff. And it's complicated, the logistics, but we're working through. We're not experts in this. We've got some good partners on the ground in Ukraine.
Well, and Bruce, they'll always be warm because you touch their lives. And so the warmth of you will always be in their heart. That's what I think.
Thanks. Yeah, I know. I mean, the world communities come together, and we got to keep that. We have to keep this up in the long run. I mean, I grew up with parents who went through the Second World War, and that was 4 or 5 years of hardship. And I think the world sometimes gets tired after a while of conflict, and it gets tuned out actually. And we can't tune this one out. We have to do our best, despite all the other problems that go on, even in our own communities and our lives, to try to reserve some space for this type of problem.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce.
That's so true. I mean, you and Carl, you were right there at ground zero. I mean, you're at the grassroots level, doing the elbow grease, the work. I think Carl used the term boots to the ground, something like that, and that's just exactly what the two of you were doing. And that show was very intense for me. And listening to the young lady who was the coordinator of the effort to help the refugees. I mean, it was Oh, it'll always be one of my favorite shows. I mean, and I hope people will continue to visit that show either on the podcast or the YouTube and Facebook. Get the contact information, keep using it, forward it on because it's an ongoing effort. And Bruce, I want. Oh,
So
go ahead,
just
baby.
while he's saying that, as usual, I'm interrupting, but and we couldn't have done any of this without our producer Ray Brown.
Through that,
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Ray, and all
right
of
on,
you
Ray.
together. But obviously, we couldn't have done the podcast without Ray.
Oh, there we go. Those of you that are listening, if you go to www.leroylarry, LEROYLARRY.com, it'll take you to the information that we're talking about. And it has other information on there too that you can access. Natural Physics website. And I hope you enjoy it. But yes, and Bruce, I wanted to ask you the status of the Ukraine refugees. Has it has it changed significantly since you were there? That you know of, has it improved? Hopefully.
Well, Poland and other surrounding countries have been basically inundated. I don't know the exact numbers. I saw some statistic of like 8 million Ukrainians in Poland now, and there are more waves still arriving. So I don't know
Okay.
the exact number, but whatever we saw back in March, probably double it or even triple it. People are
Wow.
being around to different places. The the phenomenon now is in some cases the Ukrainians are in Poland, and there's only so many jobs, right? There are only so
Right.
many places to live. So by helping some of them get to Canada, where they've got host families or friends or their own family members waiting for them, that takes some of the pressure off Poland a little bit and helps these people, get onto a better life. Because I think Poland is pretty much at the saturation point right now.
Yes. Yes. Um, Now, the effort that you participated in your home country of Canada of helping people get from there to Canada. How did that come about? How did that start? That specific effort of getting people on airplane tickets to get them to Canada.
Yeah, well, I met that key person, Roman, in
I
Poland. He
remember.
was volunteering, and he and I just hit it off. He's Romanian, or sorry, Ukrainian, but he grew up in Edmonton, Canada. And
Okay.
anyway, we met very briefly, and then we were talking afterwards. What are the main priorities? What can be done? And he said, yeah, just getting them flights, helping to take some of that economic pressure off them by sponsoring flights. So then I put that proposal to a few of my contacts, and luckily enough, many of them came forward to purchase flights. And then a couple of journalist friends of mine put out articles in papers like the Calgary Sun, the Calgary Herald, and that started a whole process. So now it's a continuous thing. Yeah, it goes on every month. There's a few new people showing up, and Roman takes care of all of the he sort of helps to choose and screen the people who have Canadian visas, are all set to fly, have homestays, and then yeah, we match them with the donor, and off they go to their new life, which is not an easy life, but it's a different set of problems, and at least they're safe.
True that. True that. Wow. That is truly amazing. That people coming together can accomplish such things. The these people do do they do you keep? I know you don't keep track of them, but do you maybe have the opportunity to touch base with them later, or do they holler back at you sometime and let you know how it's going? Anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. What I do is I try to track, well, not keep tabs on who's come in, and we do like we have a little map actually where people where we just put on the map of Canada where the people are from, and where they ended up, and we do keep in contact with a few. Some no, they're not as they're not communicating much, but others even sent us greeting videos that we showed at the concert. It depends on the individual, and yeah, we've got them all over. Well, a lot settled in Toronto. There's a few in Ottawa. Um, there's a bunch, obviously, in Alberta, Canada, because that's like the sort of the epicenters of Ukrainian communities outside of Ukraine. Um, I believe Canada has the biggest Ukrainian community outside of the country itself. And my province, Alberta, is a good place to go if you want to meet Ukrainians. So
Excellent.
they already had a
Excellent.
pretty good support network. And yeah, a few people with a few bucks in their pocket, willing. That Alberta's an oil producing province. So yeah, that works too, right? In this
Oh,
case.
what? For sure, for sure. Did you say you had a
I
question,
did
babe?
have a question.
Okay, babe.
Bruce, as I've been going back and forth, I noticed that you had a lot of, I don't want to use the word volunteers, but that's kind of what they did, either through miles, but for sponsorship of these families from Ukraine. How many to date since you were able to go there and volunteer your wonderful time?
Yeah, I think we're up to 40 now, Tirsa, and I get a little bit behind sometimes because we had a rush. We have one really wonderful couple in California, right there in Los Angeles, and they've sponsored 10 on just themselves. So what happens? They sponsored a mother and a son or daughter. They come into Canada, then they have a little quick Zoom meeting with them the next week, 15-minute meet and greet, and then he always sends an email about 3 minutes later. Okay, two more, and it's just like this guy's crazy, amazing, Neil. Um, I can't say enough about some of these people, but it seems to be a way that works. Like it's not tax deductible or anything. Nobody gets like receipts, so they're doing it, out of their heart. And some people I appreciate they want to get the tax receipt, and we're not able to do that. So that shows even more commitment on the part of the donors, right?
That's so amazing. Now, and another amazing thing I wanted to bring up, and I know you recall that I really liked your T-shirt on Saturday, and I took a photo of that shirt. And did you happen to get that when you were in Warsaw, or is that something that someone gave you? I'm curious about that, and maybe you could share with us all here, besides myself, about that T-shirt. What do you
Oh,
think?
well, it was actually made. It was actually sort of a custom made shirt. Yeah, I wanted to wear something special for my first communion, and so that's what I wore. And Poland was a big influence on me to to become Roman Catholic, which I did really well last week. And Father Jersey, I honor him wearing that shirt because he was killed by Soviet Secret Service back in 1983 for opposing the regime at the time. And thanks to people like him, um, they sort of knocked a chink in the wall. A very early little piece of the Berlin Wall went down, thanks to people like him, even though they're not really recognized exactly at that moment, but because of the groundwork that people like him did, it was easier for the end result of the overthrow of the Soviet Union. So Poland, when their Catholic faith helped them, achieve that and endure so many years of oppression, whether it was under the Soviets or other periods of history.
Um, I'm going to read your T-shirt. Is that all right with you?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I was baptized Catholic, as was my husband. However, my mom decided she wanted to be an atheist, and my father was an altar boy Catholic. And so I grew up with a lot of introduction to religions, to spiritualism, and all that. However, I did enjoy going to church with my grandmother, and I was very blessed that when she was house-ridden, that she could still receive communion. I love all religions. However, I chose not, as I call it, not to have hors d'oeuvres, which you took that step forward, and I admire you that for that immensely. But the T-shirt read, "A Christian must at all times be a witness to and defender of justice, goodness, truth, freedom, and love." Father Jersey with the Z in it. And I'm going to, I hopefully pronounce this correctly, Father Jerzy Popiełuszko, Polish priest and martyr, 1947 to 1984. And I love that that's what it said, a Christian, and that's basically being a human being. And I appreciate that I'm in your orbit as a great human being, Bruce.
Oh, well, it's an honor.
Okay, so I'm almost
I go
done.
back a ways.
Yeah, so
You
I
remember
want you
Bishop
to go.
Romero from El Salvador?
Mhm.
That was back a long. That was another person I greatly admired. Fighting against an oppression from another superpower. So, just in case anyone is wondering, I don't have any particular affiliation, whether it's left, right, middle, or whatever you want to call it. I just call it as I see it, whether it's one superpower oppressing a region or another who I won't get into.
And you know how?
Wait, Bruce, I could do it.
Okay.
Wait, I did it, Bruce.
Oh,
I could do it.
wow.
I can't do it on my. I
I,
can't do it on my right hand though. Why is that?
I
Do you know
can't.
why?
I gotta pull my fingers
I
apart.
can. Well, I can.
Yeah.
We can all do that. But how come I can do? Can you do it with both hands, Bruce?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
there's a
Now,
therapy you
Wow.
can get.
now, okay, Bruce. I know there was a special connection between Canada and the Ukraine, which is very intriguing because we talk about a global community, and now Tirza mentioned the Polish part of her. Baby, would you just enumerate the other six deals you got going on?
Okay. So my father's mother was Polish and Basque.
Basque, that's in Spain, everybody. Spanish Basque. Okay.
And then we thought we were Dutch. However, we are not Geib. Geib as in boy. It was a B, looks like a double S in German. So my father's father was German. My mother's mother was Yugoslavian. And her father was English, Irish, and Scottish. So I'm a European mutt with a big ass.
I don't know if everybody wanted to hear that last
Well,
bit of
that's a
information.
dupa, huh, Bruce?
Yeah, okay. Um,
Dr. Lebovic would like
I don't
that.
know all about that. When Poland, my impression was the people were quite slim, pretty much.
I am slim.
I
I'm
don't
just
know.
saying I have a big ass. How about
I didn't know they were all wearing winter jackets. Everyone was like covered up. That's what I hate about those countries.
as everybody sees, I'm just mum on this one. I'm not even going to comment.
Okay, so it's our Christmas tour, but it's also the summer solstice, and we were hoping for
Winter solstice.
winter solstice.
Yeah.
Solstice. What's the different way?
Solstice.
Solstice.
Winter solstice is the shortest day and the longest night of the year. Summer solstice is the exact opposite. It's the longest day and the shortest night. Okay.
So Mariella was supposed to be joining us, and obviously because she's a busy teacher and a busy mom and lady,
For
she's
sure.
unable to be here. So I kind
For
of
sure.
wanted to be a little bit of a filter, but I think you guys are kind of done with me about right now. And so let's go on to your big
Okay.
announcement. How's that?
Yeah, let's start cranking on that. And baby, thank you so much. Pop back in. But I do have an announcement to make that I think could be of epic proportions. So I will.
Okay.
I'm gonna pop my headphones back on.
Okay,
You're gonna go
enjoy.
do your thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye, baby.
Bye, baby.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Alrighty. Okay. You know you can always go tune in on YouTube, baby. It's probably going right now. All right. I'm gonna get hooked up here. Okay. Okay. All right, everybody. Now, Bruce, thank you so much for that update. And again, everybody, remember the effort is continuing. Okay, so keep. And one thing I wanted to mention that among the activities that Bruce was involved with and organized was a beautiful concert at a church in Calgary, and I'm sure you can. I don't know if it was recorded. Was it recorded, Bruce? I mean, can people go and look at that at any time?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. Yeah, all 2 hours of it.
Yeah, and y'all can check out Bruce rocking out. Seriously, I mean, so yeah, and just like our podcast, the live stream part of it on YouTube and Facebook, you can go and check it out anytime, everybody. So yeah, Bruce, if they wanted to type in on YouTube to find it, what would they type in?
St. David's United Church Ukraine benefit concert.
Okay, okay. Could you repeat it one more time, Bruce?
Yeah, St. David's United Church um, benefit concert Ukraine.
Okay, that's how yeah, that's it. That's cool because I watched some of it again after I had watched it live, and again the folk music, the instruments, and so beautiful, so beautiful. Um, okay, so now, hey, perfect. It's half hour. We got a half hour to go, so let's get to rolling on what I would like to announce. And by the way, those of you that are listening on Facebook and YouTube, you can type in comments at any time, okay? You sure can. Once I get to talking what I'm talking about, if you want to type in Leroy, you don't know what you're talking about, or Leroy, what? You can do that, okay? All right. Now, last year, uh, we started out our first season of natural physics using physics and mathematics to analyze the mysterious stone spheres of Costa Rica. They're found nowhere else in the world, everybody. I mean, and the area within Costa Rica is very, very small. In fact, it's 10 hectares, which amounts to about a tenth of a square kilometer. Costa Rica itself is around 51,000 square kilometers. So think what a small percentage, 1/10 of a square kilometer is of 51,000 square kilometers. And then when you think about the percentage of the land mass of the earth that Costa Rica is, wow, does that tell you what a special area it is that these stone spheres were found and found nowhere else in the world? It never ceases to fascinate and amaze me. You have pyramids around the world, but you only have spheres in this little tenth of a square kilometer in Costa Rica. Unbelievable. Okay, so we started out using physics and mathematical equations to get an idea of how much one of these spheres might weigh. And we came up with 10 tons. And then we were going to use physics and mathematics to try to figure out how did whoever, whenever, and why ever, how in the world did they construct these perfectly spherical, solid stone spheres? And they range in size from almost like little marbles to 8 meters across. And not only how were they made, how were they transported? Okay? I mean, how are you going to transport a 10-ton sphere? How? Thousands of years ago. In one of the episodes, I showed how they had to use a special tow truck to tow the space shuttle Endeavour from the Los Angeles airport to the California museum, Space Science Museum, right? Specially built tow truck that just inched along. And the Endeavour weighed 85 tons. So you got to figure what human power was used to move these huge spherical artifacts. So that's what we were doing in the first season of our show last year. I like to call it a season. We went from May to July, and and then in one episode, Mariella Bonilla, uh, she was our guest. She's a teacher in Guanacaste, and she informed us that a friend of hers had been told, word of mouth, by the Borucas, the indigenous Borucas here in Costa Rica, that the spheres were once used as a lunar calendar and that they could predict lunar eclipses. Oh, we were spellbound, everybody. I mean, I had never heard that before. I had not. Lunar calendar? That would put the Borucas right there with the ancient Egyptians, the ancient Sumerians, Babylonians, Chinese, Maya, Aztec, Inca, right? Lunar calendar? Oh, that's serious. That's the sign of an advanced civilization. So, let me just say that from then on, down the Boruca Road we went. It became our endeavor to try to use physics and mathematics to try to help the Boruca regain that ancient knowledge that they had lost of how the spheres could have been used as a lunar calendar to predict lunar eclipses. Now, where we began was with the go-to authority in the field of archaeology here in Costa Rica, and I would say the world too, because the spheres are here in Costa Rica. And that was the research paper that was written by the head archaeologist at the National Museum of Costa Rica. It was in Spanish, and it had a special protection on it, so you couldn't just copy and paste it in the Google Translate. Mariella was so awesome to have translated it for us on our show. And what this research paper indicated was no indication, there was no mention of the spheres having possibly been used as a lunar calendar. There was some mention that one big problem, everybody, is that so many of the spheres no longer occupy their original positions. They were moved. Um, they were discovered around, I think, in the 1930s, and yeah, many of them they were moved out of their original positions. So it's very hard to try to put some type of correlation between them and anything astronomical, unfortunately. But not all hope is gone. So in this archaeological research document, it said that possibly some of the positions of the spheres represented certain I think especially Orion. and these were some spheres that were still in their original positions. So what I understand from the material was that uh, certain times of the year, Orion would be directly overhead, and these spheres would correlate to Orion, the constellation Orion. Okay, but that was about as far as it went, as far as any type of astronomical significance to the spheres. Okay, there are two spheres. Let me just take a little sip. I have some ice and some. I don't want to be all mumbly mumbly when I make my big announcement.
Here, baby. Here's some.
Oh, wife to the rescue. Thank you, baby. Thank you.
Mwah.
Okay. Oh, right on time. Okay. Now, there are two spheres that are located that are still in their original positions, and they're oriented east and west. And they're in Finca 6, Farm 6, which is in the southern part of Costa Rica in the territory of the Borucas. And they're aligned east and west such that they locate the position of the sun as it comes up on the spring equinox, okay? The spring equinox, which is usually around March the 20th. Okay. And actually, last year, in our second season went from September to December. And our first show of the second season, Tears and I actually traveled down to the territory of the Borucas and went to see the archaeological site where these two spheres are located. And we broadcast on fall equinox morning. There was a park in the town that had free Wi-Fi, and it was called the Park of the Spheres. Oh, it was beautiful. Around 5:30 in the morning, the birds are chirping. We got these spheres all around us, and we come on with our second season. It was most excellent. Oh, it was so cool. And again, y'all can go check all this out. It's recorded on YouTube, Facebook, podcast, okay? Amazon, Apple, Google, and Spotify. Okay, so we went down there and we saw these two spheres. Now, they indicate an intent to keep track of the motion of the sun, okay? To keep track of when, and it all starts from survival, everybody, knowing when springtime starts, which is the spring equinox, knowing when you plant your crops, right? Survival, knowing the clock of the earth, nature, right? Being in tune with nature. And who knows how much trial and error it took. Who knows? Maybe when humankind first started to plant crops, maybe they tried it in the winter and they found out that didn't work too good, right? But over thousands of years, because there's evidence now, everybody, that the oldest Homo sapien fossil ever found from archaeology is 350,000 years old. Okay, 350,000 years old. So we've been around a long time. Okay, and there's all kind of theories about how the evolution went, but the point is that you had people way back in the day making flint tools and planting crops. Okay, so who knows how many hundreds of years it took to find out that, okay, we plant our crops in the spring, and then during the summer they grow, and at the fall equinox we harvest, right? Because we got to get ready for today, which is winter solstice, the start of winter. We better have our crops together and planted, right? So it's that accumulated knowledge that took a long time to get. So these two stone spheres